Hello and welcome back to the FPL Tom YouTube channel. Again, we are back with the boy Jake, rocking a cheeky little mustache this week as well. Jake, how are you doing, my friend? Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. We're continuing our series of pre-season streams. We've been through our drafts. We've rated some of yours. A lot of them were really terrible. And in today's kind of stream, we are going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be going through every single transferred kind of player. And we're going to, suggest them. Maybe they should be in your team. Maybe they shouldn't be in your team. We've got 8 players. We're going to go through them. We're going to give our opinions on them. And kind of, let you ask any questions as well. Sound good to you, Jake? And you know what? The beautiful thing is, it doesn't look like we're lagging this week as well. So, happy days, mate. Happy bloody days. It almost is. It almost is. Like, the money I spent buying this new computer and getting actual Wi-Fi that I'm paying for now actually has all worked out. So, happy days. Happy days. We've got a few people saying hello in the chat as well. Obviously, drop any questions you have in there. Apparently, they can't hear you, Jake. You know what? It's just... Yeah, we'll go let Jake get his earphones in. So I'll just stay here and talk to you guys. Like I said, if you do have any questions in today's stream, then do get them in the comments. We're going to be talking all the new transferred players in. We've got 8 players that we're going to talk through. I will quickly run through them while we do wait for Jake to get his earphones. I thought I could hear him. If you guys can't hear him, that is a bit of a concern. Maybe it might be on my end, and I might have to start the stream again. Yet again, more technical errors on this stream. As always, ladies and gentlemen, with this stream, nothing is ever smooth. Right, we'll be back in a second, I think. Video capture. Hang on. Let me try something. Right, I think, Jake, we should be good now, mate. I think I messed up a little bit. I don't think you need your headphones. I think it was all on me.
Oh, Tom.
Yeah, all on me, mate. Don't worry. Just let us know in the chat if you can hear Jake. I think you should be able to hear him now. Just let us know if you can. That would be absolutely grand. As always on these streams, technically we are arguably some of the soundest people in the world. You know, it's not like we both have degrees in like how to do this stuff. That would be a waste of time. That would genuinely be a waste of time. Like, Cam hear him. Luke, you're gonna... Oh, it's working. Thank you. Someone else cleared it up because Cam hear him is questionable. Questionable to say the least. Right, we're gonna dive straight into this. I feel we've teased you enough. We've had plenty of foreplay in this stream. We're gonna get into the meat and gravy. First player we're gonna talk about is McAllister. I need to put Jake's audio on, so while I do that, he is gonna just be quiet for a second. There we go. Now he has audio because I'm an idiot and can't set up streams correctly. The first player we're going to talk about is Mac 10, obviously transferred from Brighton to Liverpool. Obviously was a key player as well in their system, a player that a lot of people enjoyed owning for large parts of last season as well, because he was a very good point scorer. Now has made the transition to Liverpool, and there are question marks about whether or not he should be in your Game Week 1 drafts. Jake, as a Liverpool fan, I feel you are in the best position to kind of give us your analysis on whether or not McAllister should be in your Game Week 1 draft.
Well, if anyone watched the first draft we did, I had him in my team. The main reason I had him in my team was because of his price. He was only around 6 million, which in comparison to the other options in midfield for that price, it seemed like a really good option to go for. Of course, the first game week is a bit of a difficult one for Liverpool. It's a bit of an unpredictable one. That being said, if Chelsea game yesterday, they played Brighton in a pre-season friendly. If that's anything to go by, they may be a bit open at the back as much as they may be quite prolific in front of goal now.
Yeah.
I know it's only one game, but if that's anything to go by, maybe there is the opportunity for someone to set a goal up or to get a goal. And maybe McAllister is that type of player. In Liverpool's first pre-season, he got himself an assist. Only played the second half. But the fact that he didn't start the game, could that be a sign? It's one of those things where it's definitely worth seeing what Klopp does over the next few games. I know that Liverpool have a pre-season friendly tomorrow. So yeah, it'll be just interesting to see how he integrates the England lads now, because Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones have returned from international duty. Of course, Curtis Jones did end the season quite strongly for Liverpool, so I do believe he will start the season.
Yeah.
And I have no qualms with that. But it's just who starts in that midfield next to him, because of course it looks like it's bye-bye Fabinho and Henderson. So in which case, there is a potential. I think we may have spoken about this off air before, Tom. I think there is the potential for McAllister to play that more deeper role that Fabinho is going to vacate.
Yeah.
Allowing Szoboszlai, or I don't know, maybe a Harvey Elliott to fill that vacant part in midfield as well. So I think, as much as we weren't expecting to get rid of Fabinho and Henderson, the fact that our midfield all of a sudden seems to be quite sparse, not in quality but just in numbers, there is quite a high potential for McAllister to start the season straight away. But like I said, it's worth seeing what happens in the next couple of weeks, just before the season starts, before any deadlines in this game need to be met. But it is a very decent option, and I can understand why people have gone for him. As soon as I put him in, I think I said on the stream I was going to take him out.
Yeah.
I am having slight second thoughts over that. The only thing that is bringing me to the conclusion that I'm going to commit to taking him out is purely the fact that it's away to Chelsea. There are other players that, as much as they may not have the quality McAllister may possess and may show in weeks to come, there are players of his price or cheaper that are more likely to either free up funds for me elsewhere or to perform maybe slightly better or be more guaranteed to do something in game week 1.
Yeah, definitely. I think the point you make there about Curtis Jones is really good as well, because he was exceptional in the was it the Euro 21s or was it the World?
Yes.
It was the Euro 21s. I thought he was really, really good in that England side. So I imagine this season's probably going to be kind of another progression of him as a player within Klopp's system. Obviously, it doesn't look like you're maybe going to buy like one other midfielder. So you imagine he's going to be playing a lot more games as well this season. So, you know, I think it's a very good point you've raised. The only concern I have with McAllister is his stats from last season, 10 goals, 2 assists. I think they are slightly elevated down to the fact that he was Brighton's key penalty taker. Now, obviously for Liverpool, he's not going to be on penalties. He's probably not going to be on as many set pieces as well, limiting his opportunities for assists. So I think that is the only reason I potentially would look to avoid him. I think, like you said, there isn't that depth of quality within the Liverpool midfield. He is probably going to be playing. He's at a good price point and the fixtures aren't bad. But I think if you take penalties and some free kicks and corners away from him, we're going to see his output drop.
Agreed. No, I agree with that. But then again, for the price that he's worth, it's not a bad gamble to go for. But it just depends how heavily you want to gamble on Liverpool in the first game week, because I'm sure the majority of people will have Trent, and there'll be a good chunk of people that have Salah. So there may be other teams you might want to prioritise having 3 players in over Liverpool, I would say.
Yeah, 100%. If you are going to have McAllister, surely he is going to be like your 3rd or your 4th potential Liverpool player you could get if Salah is not an option because of price. So yeah, we've got a few comments in the chat as well. I'm not a Dortmund fan, even though I'm like, you know,
English isn't your first language. Brilliant.
Yeah. English isn't my first language. No, of course it is. Of course it is. I just can't speak. But yeah, I'm not a Dortmund fan. I actually support the team there. It's really hard to kind of decipher. There, that is Mansfield Town. We play in League 2. You know, the big leagues.
Mansfield's your first language, really.
Yeah. Just Mansfield dialect that just dribbles out. As you've seen on many a stream, many a video, and many a TikTok. That was McAllister. He was the first player that we reviewed. Let us know in the comments if you have McAllister in your first draft and if you have considered potentially bringing him in. Right, we're going to move on to the next player, and I have to add Jake's audio back in, so fun task for me. 1 second, Jake. I will add your audio back in. There we go.
Do you,
Jake can now talk.
do you keep
Brilliant.
muting me because of the mustache? You don't know what I'm.
And it is Subitzly. I told you I was going to
The
absolutely butcher it.
Bosley, I would say.
Subozlai. Yeah, there we go. So, is he from Austria or Hungary? Where is he from? Hungary. So, Hungarian's not my second language either, as you can tell. Nor's English. That's not the first one either. He is the next player we're going to talk about. Came in from RB Leipzig. Again, with Liverpool, we have questioned the depth and the quality of the midfield. I think this guy's going to start with McAllister come game week 1. Obviously, quite a high-profile signing. Again, Jake, I think you're in the best position to kind of tell us a little bit more about him. Being a Liverpool fan, you've probably done your research a lot more than I have.
Potentially, but then I must admit, I don't know much about him. I'm not going to sit here and say, like many people will say on Twitter, as soon as they're linked with the player that you've seen them play, you know that they're brilliant.
Yeah.
I know he's got great potential on FIFA. I know that he grows great. And I know he plays well when you buy him and you have him for a while. But I think that, unfortunately, that's as far as my knowledge goes. But that being said, I know there will be times when video games like FIFA and Football Manager will make mistakes of players' potential. But to have someone so highly rated, they must have got that information somewhere. And so must Liverpool. I think Liverpool have always been that kind of club where they've not bought someone that's been the face of English football already necessarily.
Yeah.
They've been someone that can improve and that can make their name at the club. And so Szoboszlai does fit that perfectly, because I would say there are quite a few people that don't actually know much about him. To be fair, I've just seen the comment of Luke saying about the penalties. That does actually remind me that I did actually see him once against PSG. I think he scored a last-minute penalty to either equalise or something like that. I don't know if you remember that one, Tom, but that was during lockdown. But yeah, I'm not too sure, but I would agree with you that once again he's quite likely to play. For 7 million, though, I'm not going to lie. If you're going to pick a Liverpool player that's not Salah and not, well, if you're oohing and ahhing over whether to bring Szoboszlai in, I think I'd be more inclined to go for McAllister at that point, because I don't know what your opinion is on the statistics that he has creating and scoring goals, but I don't think it's all that much better than McAllister had at Brighton. Plus, they're both going to lose the penalty taking because, of course, Salah will be on that. So yeah, I'm not too sure about Szoboszlai. I won't be going for him. I'm even oohing and ahhing over having McAllister in, but if I were to choose between one or the other, of course, the cheaper option does seem to be the wiser shout in this position.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, with that price point, you've got Diaz at 0.5 million more. You expect him to be in a lot more attacking positions as well, potentially getting more goals and assists for only 0.5 million more. That to me makes a lot more sense than going for Szoboszlai. I think as well with the penalty thing, just to kind of throw a little bit of caveat in there, is the fact that he actually might be, him or McAllister could easily be the new number 1 Liverpool penalty taker, because I think Salah missed 3 last season, didn't he?
I can't see, as much as I can see, I get your point.
Yeah.
I can't see Salah giving his penalties up, and I think it's the hard situation that we're in, because if there's a big moment and someone like McAllister or Szoboszlai steps up when Salah's on the pitch, the questions will be immediately asked if they miss the penalty.
True.
But if they score, hey, I'm more than happy to be proved wrong.
I just thought I'd throw it in there, be a little bit, devil's advocate, just kind of offer that as a potential opportunity, because he did miss 3 last season. If he misses another one early doors, are they going to be tempted?
Yeah, no, valid point.
Both these guys who are excellent penalty takers prior to coming to Liverpool, are they potentially going to dismantle him from that role? Maybe again decreasing Salah's value as an FPL asset, because if you take penalties away from him, he's not worth the 12.5 million.
No, that is true. It will be interesting, of course, to see what happens when Salah doesn't play, because there will be games, whether it be in the league, the cup, European football, but he won't play, and a penalty is likely to be given. It'll be interesting to see who steps up now that Milner's left as well.
Yeah, definitely. So Sublitz, well,
Dom.
yeah. Is he making it into your team? Yeah or no?
No, he's not. Not at the moment, anyway.
No. 100% agreed on that one. Right, let's move on to our next player. A player who is a little bit more popular than the last two options. Only just a little bit more than McAllister. But I do think come game week 1, if he continues to keep scoring in pre-season, he is going to be a lot more of a popular option. Oh my days, I cannot speak today. It is Nkunku from Chelsea, their new signing from RB Leipzig. Obviously scored 2 in pre-season. 16 goals, 4 assists for him last season, and expected points between game week 1 and 3 is 9.2. If you want to check out your player's expected points or any expected points of any player or just the overall draft, then go and check out Draft Hound. A link for that is in the description. You can do all this for free, and there are obviously paid versions as well. Jake and Nkunku, what are you saying?
I like it. I do like it. I think, just like I said about Liverpool, about Chelsea being maybe leaky at the back, I don't think we look much better, to be honest. So I can see. Well, I mean, I'm hyping up this game, but I swear the last 5, 6, 7 Chelsea Liverpool games have been goalless.
Yeah.
But we both have shoddy defences at the best of times. So I do like Nkunku. I do believe he'll start. I don't know where he'll start because I know that yesterday he was up front. Then they had Nico Jackson come on and he looked quite bright. He had some nice, I think he set up a goal and scored a goal.
Yeah.
So it's one of those really. It depends on the formation Chelsea go for. Depends on what Pochettino goes for. Did you watch the game yesterday, Tom?
No, I've seen the highlights though. I was impressed with Jackson, to be honest. The hold-up play and linking up well with Mudryk for that goal, and then he took his goal as well really well.
Yeah, it'd just be interesting to know whether Pochettino stuck with the 3 at the back or not, because of course that may have an effect on how many strikers he plays.
It was a 4. It was a 4 he played. Yeah.
So then in that case, you never know. Maybe he'll chuck Nkunku and Jackson up together. But the amount of attackers Chelsea have for next season is really impressive. They have a very empty midfield, I must say. But in terms of attackers, I think a lot of teams across Europe will be made up to have the options that Chelsea have. I know I would be. I think they've got a fantastic set of players, and I think Nkunku's right at the top of that. I think if I was a Chelsea fan, I would have him in. I think being a Liverpool fan playing Chelsea, I'm reluctant to bring him in for the first game week. But if he goes and scores a couple of goals or looks bright against Liverpool, I would be more than inclined to bring him in, because $7.5 million for someone that's going to be spearheading a Chelsea attack, which does seem to be flourishing in young, really bright talent. I feel like it'd be a silly thing not to go for.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, he feels like a player that we kind of have to wait and see. Obviously, quite a lot of players come over from the Bundesliga, and it doesn't always quite work out, if you know what I'm saying. So I think the first 2 games, Liverpool and West Ham, I think he'll be a kind of see how he does in those first 2 games. Then it's Luton in game week 3. And if he is cooking, I definitely think that's the fixture we're all going to want to be targeting when he gets to that point. Obviously, like you said as well, the combination between him and Jackson, whether or not he's going to be the starter, because Jackson has started very brightly with his 8-year contract as well, which is just bizarre. But yeah, he started brightly in that preseason game. I thought he looked really sharp. Excellent link-up play. I think he just offers something a little bit different to Nkunku, to be honest. But maybe...
Go on, sorry, mate.
No, it's fine, pal. It's fine. Don't you worry about it. I think Nkunku potentially could drift into one of those wider positions, though. But obviously, there's so many players that Chelsea have, don't they? It is a little bit... It's a little bit like Liverpool, where you've got so many good attacking players up top. Which ones do you go for? Yeah,
I agree. No, just a side comment was the fact that, did you notice Jackson and Nkunku's shirt numbers?
No, I didn't actually.
Yeah, so it looks, I mean, unless it's just for the pre-season game because they haven't announced it, it looks like Jackson's 43
right,
and Nkunku's 45.
Oh,
thought that was rather odd, but maybe that just goes to show just how many attackers they have.
Well, maybe they don't want the Chelsea number 9 because it's just the most unluckiest number in the world. Anyone who wears that one is just garbage at football, so they're just trying to avoid it any way they can.
Work their way up to earn it first.
Yeah. Score like a good 20-goal season, then you can have the number 9.
Yeah.
I definitely think Nkunku is going to be an option. I can 100% see why a lot of people do have him in their game week 1 drafts, especially if he can keeps scoring goals in preseason as well. I think that ownership number is just going to keep increasing as well. So I definitely can see why people have him. Personally, I think I'm going to wait and see how he gets on in the first few game weeks. Jake, are you tempted to whack him in the game week 1 draft?
To some extent, yes. But I think I'm going to leave it just from my own personal biasness. But I do feel like he is a wise shout, and if people were to go for him as a bit of a differential, I think that I can understand why they would go for that. Then again, do you have to look back at the fixtures that Liverpool and Chelsea have had and seen that they have been a little bit of a drab? Or do you look at all the accumulation of signings, attacking-wise, both sides have made and see there's a bit of a goal fest coming? Who knows? But Nkunku would be one of the top, if not the main attacker I'd consider getting.
Yeah, definitely. I hope it's a goal fest because I'm fed up of seeing that fixture as 0-0.
I'll probably take a 0-0 to win.
Right, let's move on to our next.
At least we get those Trent points, lad.
Oh, that's, you know what? Actually, you've changed my mind. You've tickled my pickle there. We want a nice 0-0 Trent free bonus points. That would be.
I think that is another thing to consider though. With a lot of people having Trent, I don't know what your take on this is, but I do like to try my best to have a team, at least in a starting 11 in my team, where my attackers are not contradicting my defenders. I know you can't have that all the time, but if a lot of people are going for Trent in defence, having Nkunku, of course, does contradict it because one's going to have to do well and one is going to suffer from that. Of course, you could argue that Trent will be involved in the goals, whilst Nkunku could be as well, so it may not hinder him so much to lose the clean sheet points, but it's just something to consider. If you're going to have Trent, maybe it's not worth contradicting yourself, but who knows?
I think with Trent it is one of those where I think he's got that potential just to get an attack in return. I think if it was like a centre-back who you know is not going to score or has got very little opportunity to score, I 100% agree with that point.
Fair enough.
If you've got someone like a Pau Torres, for example, playing against like a Wilson, that to me makes no sense. Whereas at least with Trent, you could see him in every game, at least getting an attack in return out of it.
Yeah, no, valid points. I get that. Fair enough.
Yeah, but again, I get your point. I get your point, and I think it's very valid. Right, let's move on to the next player who has transferred clubs, as I do add Jake's audio back in. There we go. Wonderful. Right, it is James Maddison, transferred from relegated Leicester City to Tottenham Hotspur. I've had him in a few of my drafts. He has come out in my most recent draft, which you can see on the channel, so go check that out after the live stream. But he has come out, but I think he might go back in. I'm umming and ahhing with Spurs. I don't know quite what to do with James Maddison at the moment. 10 goals, 9 assists for him last season, and expected points for game weeks 1 to 3 of 10.2. James Maddison, Jake, is he going in your game week 1 draft, or are you going to recommend him to people?
I don't see him as a bad idea, but of course, new signings are always a gamble.
Yep.
Then again, I know I have been flirting with the idea of someone like McAllister, who of course has been proven in the Premier League, so has Maddison. So I can understand that. Away to Brentford is going to be a bit of a tough game. I think once again, it's another thing that I may be contradicting myself if I was to have him in as well as someone like Mbeumo, who I think I'm more inclined to have in that fixture.
Yeah.
But if I was going to have a Spurs player, I've got Salah in my team and I've got Trent in my team. I've got Haaland in my team. I can't afford Kane, so Maddison is not a bad attacking option to go for.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the fixtures for the first two, Brentford and Manchester United, aren't ideal, and I think that's why I'm kind of rooting against him at the moment. After that, Bournemouth, and then there's so many amazing fixtures after that for Spurs. Obviously, new manager as well. There's potentially going to be a new system. And the other big concern for me is if Harry Kane does leave this side, because they are so reliant on him. 4 goals, 4 assists. He's just a key danger man, isn't he? And you see it with a lot of teams. As soon as they get rid of that guy, even if they get, the 100 million for him and try and replace or replicate that, it just always seems to not really work out, does it?
No, completely. I agree with that. And I think it's one of those things where at least with Spurs, they're going for someone who's proven in the Premier League, and I think that makes a big difference in having confidence in having them from the start.
Yeah, definitely. As well, he's obviously potentially maybe not going to be on as many set pieces. Obviously, you got Perisic and Porro who are sharing corners. You imagine he's still going to be the number 1 free kick taker, but again, moving to a new club, there are all these kind of factors that are kind of coming into play, aren't there, as well? So I think for me personally, I like him as an option. I definitely think he's going to be in a lot of people's teams come game week 1. But for me, I'm going to wait till after the first 2 games, see how kind of Spurs are lined up, what his role is within that side, and kind of see if there's been a solution to this kind of Kane situation, whether or not he's left and who's going to come in and, all that good jazz.
Agreed,
right. Well, that was James Maddison. Going to move on to our first defender. Yeah, it is our first defender. It is Pau Torres. At the moment, kind of going under the radar as a potential differential player that you could bring into your draft. Only 3.2% owned. Aston Villa's opening fixture isn't great, but after that, Everton and Burnley. Only 1 goal for him last season, but has joined a Villa team who are arguably on the up, signing a lot of quality players after a good finish to the season. European football, Emery as well has always been a very good defensive coach, so you imagine this pick makes quite a lot of sense for people's drafts if they are looking for a 4.5 million option. Jake, what are your thoughts on Pau Torres?
You added that audio back after changing that screen.
I have, mate. I have. You're back. Don't worry.
I like him. I do. I think Aston Villa have arguably improved their side better than Newcastle have so far. I'm really impressed with how Emery and of course, is it Monchi, the new sporting director or whatever, or director of football? I'm not too sure, but I know he's had quite a lot of quite an influential role in the signing of players who have been they've been very well known players, players that other teams have been quite keen to get themselves, maybe offered more money, and yet Aston Villa has had that calling. For whatever reason, I think it does seem to be down to those 2 men that I mentioned, with Emery being spearheading that as the head coach. Of course, with Pau Torres, he's had him before; they've won things together, so it does seem like a match made in heaven for them. I really like how Aston Villa look. Like you said, it's a tough start to the season. Who knows how that's going to go? The only thing I would say about Pau Torres that I've been maybe more inclined to go elsewhere is the fact that he's a centre back, like we've mentioned.
Yep.
And Matty Cash is the exact same price as a fullback. So that is a player that I had in my first draft. I don't think I started him because of the Newcastle game, but for 4.5 million for a right back who's most likely to play, especially with the departure of Ashley Young. So the availability for a right back it's not as they've lost the player who could at least fill in with Matty Cash, so he's more likely to play the games, especially in the Premier League. Who knows when Europe gets involved? It's a bit of a mismatch when any team plays in Europe, especially in the Europa League or Europa Conference League, especially with clubs that are lower down. Maybe there'll be more rotation. And who knows? He's got a few centre-backs to pick from now, so maybe come then, Pau Torres is someone that is preferred in Europe because of his knowledge and experience in European football. Because they've still got Mings, they've still got Conser, I believe, they've still got Diego Carlos. Sorry.
Yeah, still got.
So yeah, they've got a couple of decent centre-backs, to be honest. I do think Pau Torres will start the season because of his relationship with Emery. But yeah, like I said, first game week, I'm not actually going to have an Aston Villa player playing, but I will probably opt for Matty Cash.
Yeah, I do get that point. I do usually prefer more attacking defenders the ones that do have the potential. And I think, as we highlighted in your draft video, Matty Cash is probably one of the only kind of 4.5 million defenders who has that potential to kind of get regular-ish attacking returns. The rest of them are usually centre-backs or players who, you know, don't play for great teams at that 4.5 million price range. And like you said as well, there is so much competition at centre-back. If Torres makes a mistake in game week 1 against Newcastle, you know, you got Mings, you got Konza. There's so many quality players. Mings and Konza finished the season really well as well. You know, if you look at the defensive data from when Emery came in and kind of looking at where they finished in terms of that, like from Gerrard to Emery is just like a massive leap. So I don't think necessarily he might not start. I don't know. It's a little bit of one of them, isn't it? Because, you know, he's got two lads who finished the season excellently, but like you said, he has worked with him before. So you do imagine he is going to be his go-to guy in the back line. I think he's a good option at 4.5 million. Rotates quite nicely with any Palace defenders. So if you wanted a Gahey or an Anderson, there is that option to go for two kind of cheaper defenders and go for that as a little bit of rotation, because their fixtures kind of match quite nicely, as they have Sheffield United in game week 1. So that is an option if people wanted to go for that. But like you said, I think for me there are too many factors kind of skewing me against putting Pau Torres in, but I could completely see why people go for him.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Right. Let's move on to another Aston Villa player. It is their brand new signing, Diaby, as I add Jake's audio back in. There you go, Jake. You now have a voice. Just moved to Aston Villa from Bayern Leverkusen. I've guessed at his price because it hasn't come out yet. I've gone with 7.5 million for his price is what I'm going to be predicting he comes in at. I think that's kind of fair considering the hype and the other players around that 7.5 million range. They could potentially even put him in at 7, because obviously got players like Mason Mount who came in at that price, Raheem Sterling. But I think they're going to go with kind of like, people want the new shiny toy, we're going to whack him at 7.5. That's the way I've gone with it. Last season for him, 9 goals, 8 assists in the Bundesliga for Bayern Leverkusen. Now, for me personally, I don't think I'm quite tempted by this man yet. I think he's 100% a wait-and-see boy. Kind of see what role, because they've signed a lot of players. It's going to take time for them all to gel. And they also have good-ish players kind of kicking around that squad anyway. And for some reason, I'm getting Leon Bailey vibes. Obviously, another player who was very hyped in the Bundesliga with Bayern Leverkusen, came to the Premier League and hasn't really ripped it apart. He's just kind of been a bit mid, to be honest. That's the vibes I'm getting. I don't know if they're the same for you, Jake, but that's the vibes I'm getting.
Yeah, you took the words straight out of my mouth. I was going to say, as soon as Leon Bailey came, he was straight into my team the year he joined.
Yeah.
Had him in and he didn't really do much. I know he's been injury prone in his career, which hasn't helped him. There have been a couple of games where he's been absolutely brilliant. Just seems like he can go from 0 to 100. But he does seem to be held back, mainly probably from his injury struggles, because it doesn't seem to be little like cramps or whatnot. It seems to be injuries that keep him out for a bit and just take him that step back or whatever. And maybe that has an impact on how he plays and how he gels with the team. So yeah, I completely get that with why you'd be maybe a little bit more skeptical to bring in Moussa Diaby. Is it Moussa Diaby? No, Diaby. But yeah, I completely understand that. And also, it's one of those things really where, as much as I say like Newcastle away is a tricky game, which it is, especially at St James's Park, it'll be a really good test to see whether, well, for one, I've called it right to say that Villa's signings are being stronger than Newcastle's, because their recruitment, I believe, puts them close to, if not on a par with Newcastle's squad. And so it'll be interesting to see how that game goes. And so, of course, one of the ones to watch will be Diaby. If he's 7.5 million, I think that's a little bit too expensive to make a gamble on him so early. But should he hit the ground running, 7.5 million is definitely something to go for. It's just probably not something to go for immediately.
Yeah, 100% agree on that. It is a massive wait and see, and I don't know. I have just got Leon Bailey vibes, and it's a little bit of that kind of like Bundesliga tax as well. We've seen so many of these kind of prolific, pacey wingers come over to the Premier League from the Bundesliga where they've absolutely ripped it up, and then just nothing. Just absolutely nothing. Minimal output. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a different pace, different level of kind of physicality as well in this league. But for me, he is a wait and see. Would not be adding him to my game week 1 draft or Jake's as well. Right.
There was what was his name? Haaland. He was quite good.
I don't know, I don't know. Those 36 goals, a lot of them were just tap-ins. Like, they don't really count. If they're technically like half goals, they don't really count at all.
Yeah, no. That being said, there are a few players, of course, who have performed well. But I can't believe you actually linked it to Leon Bailey, because that is exactly what I was going to say. It is. Hopefully, it's not going to be deja vu for Aston Villa.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But it definitely does have kind of that earmarks, because I feel he came with a very similar kind of reputation as well as Diaby. A lot of hype, quite a high price tag.
Well, he's rejected Saudi Arabia, hasn't he, for this?
Wow.
He clearly has something that he really is passionate about, and it's not money, because I can imagine. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of it. I can imagine that he was probably offered more money at Saudi Arabia, in Saudi Arabia, I mean, but he's chosen Villa, so maybe he's got something about him that means that he's going to perform, rather than go for the potentially arguably easier option of just earning some money.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe Emery's got him fully fit, and we're going to see a Leon Bailey of the Leverkusen old. Who knows? Who knows indeed. Right, we're going to move on to player 7 of 8, and it is a very popular pick indeed, this one. Already at 10% owned after only being in the game for 1 day. He's gone into my game week 1 draft at the moment, as I think he is a nice, cheap, easy way to get into that Manchester United defence. It is Onana coming in at 5 million. The fixtures are really good. Obviously moving from Inter Milan. As you can see, his stats from last season: 8 clean sheets, a clean sheet percentage of 33%, save percentage of 73.5, and only conceded 24 goals in 23 games in the Serie A. Good fixtures as well, like I said. Nice price point. Jake, what are you thinking about Onana?
What was his doping percentage? I actually really like that shout. I think it's good value for money. I mean, De Gea kept the most clean sheets last season, and I don't think that was just down to him. I think they have invested well in their defence. I think Martinez has been a brilliant signing. I think Varane is no doubt a superb centre-back. And yeah, I do think they have a little bit more of a resolute defensive line, including Casemiro as well. Like, they do seem to be a lot more self-assured now. I know they had a few crumbles at times. I won't go into detail as to what I mean, but I think on the whole, they do seem to be quite compact and quite good at keeping the other team out. So yeah, I like that. I do like that. The only issue is whether we're going to have like another Brentford saga or Brighton saga as to whether like it's Onana that plays or Tom Heaton, but that's another question.
Yeah, you do imagine he's going to be the number 1 goalkeeper in game week 1. He is. Come on. Well, just to add to that, didn't play in last night's pre-season friendly, did he?
Exactly, and guess who did?
Good old Tom Heaton. Oh dear. But yeah, I just think he's a really good fixture. And like you said, that Manchester United defence last season at times was brilliant. When they had everybody fully fit and was performing extremely well, they were an easy go-to defence. Luke Shaw as well was one of the standout players, picking up plenty of bonus points and a few attacking returns along the way. Onana as well has kind of got this style about him where he does like to play it out from the back. So what I can see happening very easily in the first few game weeks is maybe an error or a lack of communication does lead to a goal potentially going against Manchester United, and we could see maybe a little bit of divide in his ownership, whether people keep with him or do sell him. And just question marks around that. I've definitely seen a few interesting highlights on Twitter of his playing style. Let's just put it that way.
Was it the? Oh no, I can't say it. I can't say it on the live stream. It doesn't matter.
Oh no! Oh no!
I've already made a joke about it.
You've already done the doping joke. And that did make me chuckle. That was brilliant. We've got a few comments as well coming in saying that they watched him in Serie A last season and Inter had the best defence. So,
they look good against City as well. I must say
Yeah.
they defended very well. Don't really think Onana was brought into too much bother, to be honest. So I don't know how much he's really been called into action as much. But of course, I can't say that because I haven't watched many Inter Milan games. But I know he's been highly rated for many years, like back when he was at Ajax. He has got a bit of a tendency. I don't know if this is something that, like, of course, we don't know the ins and outs of it, but I'm pretty sure he had an issue, didn't he, with his national team, where he ended up getting sent home because he disagreed with the manager. So hopefully he's able to listen to his superiors and not have any trouble, because United do have a bit of a history of the bigger names maybe thinking they're a little bit too big for their boots. So hopefully he can keep himself on the ground, his feet on the ground, and if he can, I do think he's a really good option. I like the start of the season, and I may have Luke Shaw in my defence, but I would be tempted, now that you put him in front of me, I would be tempted to double up on United defence.
Wow. This all from a Liverpool fan, ladies and gentlemen. Doubling up on the...
Yeah, they've not played Liverpool yet, but we don't...
Who plays in that? Who comes into your team for that game week then? Obviously, you're not going to have both of them. So is it...
Probably, is it the next man that we're doing?
Oh, of course. I feel that's a lovely segue. Let's just go straight into it. It is a man who we did speak about a lot in our last live stream, and our knowledge was looking a little bit questionable. It was Flecken, Brentford's new goalkeeper, who has come in to potentially replace Ivan Toney. Now, we weren't 100% clued up on this man when people were asking him. I obviously knew that he'd come to Brentford, and I obviously knew he had a good pedigree at Freiburg, but I didn't know too much about him, to be honest. But looking at the data, some very, very interesting things. 13 clean sheets, only 44 goals conceded, a good save percentage as well, and kept a clean sheet in 38.2% of his games. Really, really good data there. Brentford have good fixtures as well after game week 1. The big question for me is he going to be the number one, or is it going to be Raya still?
Well, it's a whole wormhole, this, isn't it, that we may fall into yet again. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I didn't realise his stats were that strong. They've clearly gone and taken the first team goalkeeper as well, so he's going to expect game time. But then that means Raya has to leave, surely, because he's such a great goalkeeper that he should leave if he's not getting the game time. But then again, you'd argue the same for this man, because from those statistics, you'd say that he deserves to be playing week in, week out. It's a dilemma I think I'd probably avoid, purely for the fact that I cannot call it. I mean, I've got my own dilemma with whether Steele's going to play, Sanchez is going to play, Verbrugge's going to play. So I think, having watched this stream myself in the background, I think I'm more tempted to go for Onana than all of these goalkeepers, because I don't think it's worth going for something where you don't know whether the guy's going to play, especially so early on. Let that be something later on in the season. Not too sure how much Raya is off the top of my head, but maybe it's something if you really want to bring Brentford, if you really back Brentford's defence, if you want to bring both keepers so that then at least the other one will come off the bench. But I think that's the only way I'm going to be tempted to bring that player in first game week, especially at home to Tottenham. As much as I may fancy Brentford maybe to do one over Tottenham again, I also do fancy Kane to score if he's there. Of course, if he's not there, that's a whole other ball game. But even then, I just wouldn't want to take the risk on a goalkeeper that's guaranteed to get... Well, I wouldn't want to take the risk taking out a goalkeeper or avoiding a goalkeeper who's guaranteed 2 points for the sake of maybe gaining a couple of points when really you could end up with 0.
Yeah, 100% as well. With him, like we said, it's not worth the risk. Raya is in at 5 million as well. So you'd be spending 9.5 on goalkeepers. I was just doing
a bit much, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a little bit too much, to be honest. If we do get confirmation that maybe Raya leaves the club or this guy starts every single preseason game, I think he is arguably one of the best 4.5 million goalkeepers to go for, especially with Brentford's good fixture run as well. Up until probably where game week 8, 9, where you're going to be playing your wild card as well. I think he does make sense if he is the number 1 goalkeeper and we get confirmation of that. But with Raya there, he is a world-class goalkeeper. Is he going to get the game time? Like you said, it's just not worth the headache. It's not worth the free transfers in the game weeks after if this man isn't playing to get yourself a playing goalkeeper. It's just not worth it for me.
No, and I would second that. Even if, like you said, Raya does leave, I think we just need to give it a couple of weeks just to let him settle in and let the season start, because I don't know about you, but if Harry Kane's still at Spurs, he's most likely to score, isn't he?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, easy. Kane will score. But you imagine as well, though, he might pick up some save points if it is Spurs and they're, fully attacking and all that. That's just, I'm just being devil's advocate today.
Yeah, no, I completely get that. But once again, I can't help but look at that fixture United against Wolves and see a big clean slate.
Have you caught it, lad? It's infectious, isn't it? The broken English.
Mansfield, yeah. Yeah. I think I really am tempted by our own information here of Onana.
Well, my advice to you then would be don't not listen to your own information that you say in this stream or videos, because that's almost like what I did for the whole of last season. I gave good information out. My dad listened to it. He won our FPL league. Some weeks I didn't listen to my own information and made silly decisions because I thought I was clever than I am. So
I'm fully gonna listen to my own decisions and think I'm cleverer than I am and regret. There will be, I guarantee to anyone that's watching this, if you listen to your own stupid decisions, you will be right a handful of times. You may be wrong the majority, but a good 10% of the season you will be right, and it feels so sweet.
It does, or you could just subscribe to this channel and get right information every single week. It's just a win-win,
Well, it's a certain win-win here, because you get the great information from you, and then you do just get that little guy in your gut just going, you want to.
Oh, Flecken, he's tempting at 4.5. Oh, it's worth the risk. It's worth the risk. I've just got to go for it.
Well, maybe he will be, though. In all seriousness, maybe he will be in a few weeks. And I mean, to be fair, if he starts the season, Raya's gone. He saves a penalty from Kane, keeps a clean sheet, goes the other end, scores a header. You're going to be tempted to bring him in, aren't you?
What is this? This is like the maddest game ever for a goalkeeper to have.
Well, Flecken, ladies and gents.
Flecken, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Flecken is going to be getting himself a goal, a penalty save, 3 bonus points. He'll probably pick up a red card as well, just for the bants.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. So, get him in your team now, because it's going to happen. It just is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen.
He does look good, though. I do think I like the potential of him. And like you said, if all goes well at the start of the season for his price, it's definitely someone that you could look to switching around, because in all fairness, I don't think goalkeepers are where you really look to get the wins and the main points. You need someone that's fairly stable, but at the end of the day, if the goalkeeper's getting you 2 points because he's playing, you're happy. So if you're getting some money saved by getting someone that is likely to get more clean sheets than not, and to play full stop at 4.5 million, I can see that being a wise choice. But of course, we just need to make sure that he actually does play first.
Yeah, Brentford as well are pretty good defence. They have been for 2 seasons now in the Premier League. They've been very, very solid. That's why Raya, Ben Mee, Pinnock, Henry, all these players have been kind of picks throughout the past 2 years, because they have been a really, really good defence. So
Yeah, I mean, I've in my first draft I had Collins, their new signing from Wolves, in because I do think Wolves were one of those sides. I know they may have been. Forgive me if you're a Wolves fan, but maybe you'll agree. But I do think they were quite boring to watch at times. But they did seem to have a good partnership with the majority of defence that they had, and Collins was more often than not at the heart of that. I did quite like him, and I think him going to Brentford, where they've got quite a solid defensive line, like you said, Tom. I like him as well. I don't think I've opted for him to start the season because of the home game against Spurs. And if I was a betting man, I think I would be backing Harry Kane, like I keep saying. So I think I'm going to give any defensive unit from Brentford the first week off.
yeah.
But I would be quite highly tempted to bring Collins on if I have him on the bench, or bring a Brentford defensive unit, whether that be a goalkeeper or a centre back or a full back. I would be tempted to bring them in come game week 2.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that was all the players we've done. We've done 8 players newly transferred to their clubs. If you did enjoy the stream, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, as we are trying to hit 1,500 by the end of this month. Like, there's about 150 to go. It's going to be squeaky bum time, like, towards the end of it, but, you know, if we do it, it'd be great, and we'll have a little party stream.
Are you going to do it like a Gary Lineker, like a show in your boxes?
I think we probably would get, like, striked. I reckon I'd probably get, like, demonetized or something.
All right, okay.
Go on.
We need to, right, okay, and maybe this should have had some pre-planning, but I reckon if you can reach a set, we'll come back, I reckon.
Yeah.
But I reckon we need to set a goal, and if we reach that goal, maybe not 1,500, I get that, because that's only 100, but I think if we hit a certain amount of subscribers, you're doing the next stream in a Chesterfield top.
That's grim. That is grim. A
Hey,
Chesterfield top.
I'll do one in a United top if that brings it up.
All right. Well, you know what? We'll say for August, right? If we hit by the end of August, if we hit 2,500 by the end of August, which is like 1,150, like, it's a big goal to hit, but we're going to be making a lot of content. The subs are going up very, very quickly this month, and are going to keep going up as we go into the new season. I'll make it a bet. I'll put it out on Twitter. I'll get a Chesterfield top, and I'll do a stream in the Chesterfield top. All right?
Yeah, no, sounds good.
Yeah, there we go. You're witnessing history on this stream, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna hit 2,500 by the end of August, and I'm gonna be in a Chesterfield top.
He can't wait.
Oh, what have you done? What have you done? Oh, right. That was everything on today's stream. Like I said, thank you very much for watching. And if you want to see me in a Chesterfield top, hit that subscribe button. Me and Jake will be back for maybe 1 or 2 more streams before the season starts. I definitely think we're doing one announcing our teams, like, on the Wednesday before the game's on the Friday, the Burnley Man City game. We'll probably do one then, or somewhere around that day. We might do another Rate Your Draft, as I keep getting sent them on Twitter in my DMs, which is, you know, wonderful. Thank you for them. Usually I like to get sent different pictures in my DMs, not people's drafts. I'm not encouraging that. Yeah, dirty draft. Dirty draft picks. Oh, yeah. So don't send me any wrong pictures. Keep sending the dirty draft picks in. We love them. We will review the stream on some stream at some point. Yeah, what a way to end the stream. It's all gone just tits up, hasn't it? It's absolutely capitulated. But thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye from me, and a goodbye from Jake.